Hey everyone, I'm Avon. Just a bit about me, I've been hooked on Fellowship since the demo back in February of 25, and I've got about 300 hours in the game so far. In Season 1, I pushed to around 13k on Alarion and just a bit over 10k on Mako. This season, I've managed to hit 10k on Mako, 11k on Rhyme, and about 9k on Aona, and most of my experience in the game has been through pugging. I've got a long history in World of Warcraft doing high-level Mythic Plus and Mythic rating. I've got 5 cutting edges under my belt across multiple expansions and years. And I just wanted to take a look back at Fellowship Season 2, compare it to the first season, and then talk about what's on the horizon for Season 3. First off, I want to say I think Rhyme is incredibly fun. She has easily been my favorite character to play this season. I pushed a 10k with Mako first, and I saw so many Rhymes in my groups popping off that I couldn't wait to play it next, and she has been a ton of fun. I know I am just pushing what's already popular. I know Rhyme's popular. A lot of people are playing her. I know I'm just saying what people already know, but she is really fun this season. I think getting the resets are fun. Her ult is fun. The whole play pattern is really fun, and I've been having a blast with that. So first off, I want to talk about difficulty this season. I know that's been a huge pain point for a lot of players. It's what a lot of people have complained about. From a tanking perspective, I really did prefer the Season 2 system. I think it's a lot better to have all of my talents and my legendary item before the content actually gets difficult. Back in Season 1, when I was playing Mako, when I hit like Champion, I was getting completely blasted in my first couple Champion dungeons, and I just felt like it was a struggle to stay alive on every pull just in Champ. And I think Season 2 really smoothed out the experience for tanking. You're able to like ingrain your rotation and learn your character and your abilities in like a low stakes environment before you get to Eternal and it actually gets difficult. This season, I felt pretty immortal until about Eternal 9 or 10, which I think is fine. I think it's okay for the lower tier difficulties to be easier, especially for roles like Tank that are really stressful. When the content got hard last season in like Champ and Paragon, and you don't have your legendary yet, you don't even have all your talents, it really felt like a struggle. So I do kind of like that. That said, it's not perfect, and I do agree with the community that extra mob abilities should be added way earlier. I think probably even back in Adept, like they were in Season 1. I would like to see something like 50% strength in Adept, so you have things like Ooga Booga Flame, but they don't hit as hard, so it's not as punishing while you're still learning these new things. And then maybe they could ramp up to full power in Champion. And then honestly, I don't even know if we need Paragon. Like, I think it would be fine if you have just Contender, Adept with 50% abilities, Champion with 100% abilities, and then the timer in Eternal. And I really do think the timer should just be an Eternal only feature. If the leagues are supposed to be like the tutorial where you learn the game, I don't think there should be a timer, because it just feels so much more punishing if you're wiping and you're making mistakes when there's a timer than when there's not. People are way more willing to stick around and finish something if there's no timer that you're trying to make it under. I do like what they said they were going to do with the less segments per tier. I think that's really great. Right now, it feels kind of unnecessary to have all of the different, all the way from 1 through 7. It doesn't really seem necessary. One of the best changes in Season 2, I think, was the progression system. I love, personally, the removal of the item level requirement just to get through the leagues, and then the shard system in Eternal, I think, is really great. Having the choice between doing 2 regular dungeons or 1 capstone feels really good. You can just do the capstones if you want to blast up through Eternals, or you can do the regular ones. I think it's really nice. I do like the shards. As for the leagues, I remember in Season 1 having to just grind through leagues just to hit the item level. You're upgrading this blue and purple gear that you know is immediately going to be replaced when you get to the next tier, and it just felt like such a slog. It felt like a huge slog, and there are even tiers where you'd beat the capstone, but you don't have the item level, so you still have to grind out this gear just to get to the next tier that you already know you're good enough for. I love that not being in there. It just lets you get to the Eternal faster, which for me, that's the big part of the game that I'm interested in. So I quite like the league system in Season 2. People complain about the queue buckets, how there's, you know, if you're in Eternal 1 through 4 or whatever, and you're getting stuck with people who are at a lower group than, or like a lower Eternal than you, so you're not getting any progress. But really, it's a balancing act. Like, the more you separate the queues and divide them up, the longer your wait is going to be. The more you combine them, the less likely you are to find a group that's doing exactly what you need. And there's just no perfect solution, realistically. And this balancing act, there's a larger issue here, and I've kind of hinted at it earlier on, but there are basically 2 core groups of people playing Fellowship. You have the people from Season 1 who loved the progression through the leagues. They loved that feeling of like climbing the ladder. and moving through and making progress, right? And then you have players like me whose only goal is to push Eternal as high as you can. Like, you just want to get the highest rating you can, you want to do the highest content you can, and you just want to see that number go up. And you want to see how far you can push yourself, right? That's what I did in Mythic Plus and WoW. Like, in Legion, I was a top 100 Holy Priest in Tomb of Sargeras. During the first season of Shadowlands, I was a top 100 Holy Paladin. And to me, just that pushing and climbing is fun. I like the challenge of doing the hardest content that's available to me. That's way more interesting to me than progressing through the leagues. And then I would suppose you also have like a casual group of players who just want to unlock the seasonal rewards and then they're done after that. So I guess there's really like 3 groups if you want to think of it that way. And I think it's just incredibly difficult to design a system that pleases all of those groups at once. And I feel like the devs right now are trying to find a middle ground. Season 1 for me, I felt like it was a huge slog to get through everything you needed to do to get to Eternal. And then Eternal is fun, right? And this season for me, it was great because I get to Eternal a lot faster, which is the part of the game that I enjoy. I know a lot of people will stop at 10k, but for me, the fun part is pushing as high as I can. And so I feel like the devs are trying to find a middle ground that works for those 2 main groups of people that are playing the game. Some other features that they add in Season 2, the built-in dungeon routing, I think is great. I tanked in Season 1 and you just had to pull up a route on your other screen. When I first started playing, you had to figure it out, which is cool, you know, but then you want to have the most efficient route available to you at some point. Having it in the game is nice and you get reps on it. And some of the dungeons, it's not the best route, right? Like when I got to Eternal, some of them I did my own route. Some of them I still follow the built-in one just because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I think it's great for people who are brand new to either a new character or new to tanking in general. It just takes a lot of extra pressure off you because not only do you not have to know how to tank, you have to know the route, you have to know which mobs to pull. And having the built-in routes, I think, is a really great feature just for new players to the role or to the game in general. A small UI thing that they changed, it was in Season 1, they took the custom Steam pictures out because people were putting some very inappropriate Steam pictures on there, so that totally makes sense. But now everyone just has this static symbol picture next to whatever character they're logged into, and it's the same for everyone. I think it would be nice if we could use that space to like convey some actual information. You could have your league there, right? Like, say Paragon 3 or Eternal 11, whatever league you're in on that character right now, right? And that would just be, I know you can mouse over and it shows you that, but it would be nice to just be able to see that without having to mouse over it. Also in Season 2, they added the Woodland Glade, When it started, the tank queues were really bad because everyone was trying Xavian. And so I actually unlocked the entire reward path through the Woodland Glade on Mako just because the queues were so long. And it's also just nice to have all your abilities and stuff unlocked on tank before you actually start doing dungeons, right? For other characters, it's not as important, but you feel really hamstrung as a tank when you don't have all your stuff yet. I do hope that they address the fact that you can lose all your quest progress if you do a dungeon before finishing. It happened to me one time. I was in the Woodland Glade questing. I was 2 out of 3 for the unlock. I had a dungeon pop. I went and did it. I came back and now I'm 0 out of 3. And I was like, well, I'm not going to queue anymore because it's just going to reset my progress if that happens, right? So I do hope that they address that. And speaking of the reward track for unlocking your abilities, it's actually such a pain if you've played the character before. I think maybe in the future they could do something like if you hit Eternal on a character in a previous season, I don't think you should have to unlock all their abilities again. It's just, you have to do like, what, 10 dungeons or something like that just to get all of your abilities unlocked, and it's just not fun when you were playing the character with everything unlocked the previous season. I think you should just start with that done if you took that character to Eternal in a previous season. What else? I tried out Aeona. I was having an extremely annoying bug with her, and I don't know if anyone else has had this happen. I haven't seen anything online about it, but the game kept registering that my mouse button was being held down. I noticed it happening to me when I used Temporal Barrage or Entropy's Claim. It just happened to me randomly a lot while playing, and I have to re-click the mouse button to unstick it. It just really killed my motivation to push any higher on her. I was going to make this video after I got 10k on a tank, a DPS, and a healer, and I only hit 9k on Aeona just because I couldn't bring myself to keep playing her. I just wasn't having a good time. I think she has some balance issues for sure as well. When I read the patch notes, when I saw that they were adding her, I was like, I don't think there's ever a way that they're going to balance this healer. She's either going to be beyond the strongest thing in the game or completely useless. And we've seen this season that she is the strongest thing in the game. The buffs that Vigor has gotten just to be even remotely competitive with Aeona is actually crazy. Not to mention some of her, I think the Oblivion talent that makes your overhealing shield is just way too strong, because if that wasn't in the game, you would have to pool resources to save Oblivions to heal when damage was happening. But now you just blast them out, and if damage happens, everybody already has shield, and then if it's more than that, you just keep healing. There's like no thought to playing that character at all. You're just blasting your buttons, and what's going on around you is kind of irrelevant. So I think that one talent for sure needs to be relooked at. I think they've said they're going to adjust her stagger, which is good. 50% of all incoming damage is honestly ridiculous, but it's going to be a nightmare for them to balance. Like I said it when I saw the patch notes for her when they were adding her, and we'll see how it goes. A small piece of feedback I have for Mako, I really think her rocks need like a 2 or even 3 second cooldown. It's way too easy to accidentally double cast it if you're like spamming it, like, oh crap, I gotta get my rocks up, and you have 2 charges and you're spamming your rocks key. It's way too easy to double cast it, and there's never a situation where you want to double cast rocks. You have an immunity window when you cast them. You're never going to lose your rocks in like 1 or 2 seconds. I wish it had a 2 or 3 second cooldown. I'm not saying it needs to be on the global. I think it should still be off the global, but I really think it should have just a small cooldown just to stop you from double casting it if you're spamming the key. What else did they add in Season 2? The new affixes were fine. I think the one where you have to stack up is fine. The anomalous orbs barely seem to spawn. I'll do a whole dungeon and I'll only see them twice. Is that their intention for those? Because I feel like the affix where the meteors rain from the sky and you have to dodge the stun happens like all the time. And the orbs, I literally think I've seen them in dungeons where it's just twice that they'll spawn. And I'm not saying I want them every pull. Like, it would be annoying if they spawned all the time. Like, Explosive was a huge annoying affix in WoW, if you guys ever played with Explosive. So I'm not saying I want a ton of them, but just it seems like they're barely even there right now. I really, really do like the Kiss Curse idea for affixes. I hope they continue to move in that direction. What would I like to see in Season 3? Man, I think the biggest area they have for improvement is rewards. Personally, I think farming low, easy, eternal dungeons to grind your gear to get to 330 is completely cringe. You are artificially burning yourself out by spamming easy content to get your gear high enough so that then getting to 10k is even easier. I think people should just push to 10k without farming for stuff. And what they have to do, they have to incentivize doing hardest content. Like, imagine if every Eternal bracket dropped gear that was 15 item levels higher, right? So you have your 1 through 4, that's 255, and then 5 through 8 is 270, and so on, right? And then eventually you're going to hit the gear cap of 330, and then what do you do after that? Well, you could just increase the chance for like gear with a socket to drop or gear with an empowered socket to drop, right? Like, the game has to incentivize doing the hardest content to get the best rewards. This situation where farming easy content just to grind gear, I don't like it. I hope they do something to fix it. And it burns people out because you're just spamming some dungeon over and over again. And then you get to 10k and it's easy because you farmed yourself to 330 when you didn't need to. And I really don't like it. The only situation I can see farming a dungeon as being okay is if you're trying to get like a set from there, but you don't need that to get 330, right? I just wish they do something to incentivize not farming the same easy old content over and over again. They talked about a more ARPG loot style system for Season 3. I'm really skeptical about that. It's not the direction I would have gone, but I'm keeping an open mind. I hope it turns out to be great, but I think it's kind of weird. I don't know if anyone played back in February when that demo came out, but the game was basically just Eternal. That's all it was. I think you could pick any dungeon, because I remember just doing Wormheart over and over again because my group felt that it was the easiest one to get to 15, but it was basically just Eternal. There was nothing else. And I remember playing that and honestly wishing that there was no gear at all. Like, part of me just wishes the game is just like, there's no gear, you just have this character and it's just skill expression. Like, I kind of wish that was all that separated people, but I think a lot of people wouldn't like that. Or if like maybe in Eternal the gear was normalized. I know a lot of people would hate that, and I'm a minority on this for sure, but I think loot almost feels superfluous, but we'll see. I'm hopeful. Like, I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the devs because I'm not a game dev. I'm just an idiot guy who likes to play video games. I hope it turns out great. And then one other thing I just wanted to mention is the legendary Godstone for rerolling master traits on weapons is in such a weird spot because it costs 750 gold to do that reroll, and you're not even guaranteed to get the trait that you want. Whereas you can get other loot from dungeons and re-roll it to a weapon, and the purple re-roll is like 175 gold. So it's just way cheaper. If you get another weapon, you can re-roll it for 175 gold, and you can see 2 random traits on that weapon, right? 750 for 2 random traits is kind of absurd. I've never rolled it. It does not feel worth it at all. I think it either needs to be way cheaper, or they can keep it the same price, but it has to guarantee the trait that you want. In that case, I honestly don't know if I would even pay for it in that case, because 750 is just so much, but at least it would guarantee that you're getting the master traits you want, right? Let you pick both of them. It just let you customize the weapon if you're going to pay 750 gold. I think it's completely not worth it at all right now. And then the legendary item they added to add an empowered socket, I've put about 150 hours into season 2, and I've seen 2 drop. It's like incredibly rare, and maybe that's what they want, but it feels so rare. I almost wish that you would get one from scrapping a legendary, but then there might be too many of them. I'm not sure. The RNG for the legendaries is really annoying too. I know a lot of people have complained about that. It was like that at the beginning of Legion. Nobody liked it. I wonder if they could do, if they're committed to the RNG, I wonder if they could have a system where, like, if you get 2 legendaries, like you have your first one and you get your second one, and you still don't have the one you want, if you could like exchange 2 to pick the one you want. You know what I mean? When I first hit Eternal on Rhyme, when I got my first legendary, it wasn't the one I wanted, and then I re-rolled a neck to get the one, and I was running a 255 legendary for a long time. Same on Iona, actually. Even longer on Iona, I was running a 255 cape, just because it's so impactful to have the right legendary, and it's way more valuable than like the 80 item level you'd get from wearing a 330 piece of the wrong legendary. So yeah, I hope they do something to make that more deterministic. I think everybody would prefer that. Nobody really likes the RNG legendary system. I get it that they want there to be things that you need to grind for in the end game. I get that, right? And that was gems in season 1. And gems are way quicker now. They're way quicker in season 2 than they were in season 1 because of the gem budding. They're almost too quick. And I also feel that the magic essence for getting your stuff to 330 is really slow. And I would almost like to see that balanced a little bit, in that the magic essence being a little quicker and gems being a little slower. But I'm getting kind of nitpicky on things right now, of just like, those are just my feelings though, right? I felt like gems this season were really fast. I had like more gems than I had slots for most of the time, and the magic essence just takes forever. To be honest, I think the like empowered sockets, as impactful as they are, I would be okay if that was the like end game grind thing. Like, okay, like all the rest of the stuff is like reasonable to get in a normal amount of time, and then you're just grinding out these empowered sockets. And I hope that they make it so that you have to do high eternal to get a higher drop chance on those, just to incentivize people to push further. Those are my thoughts on season 2, what I'm hoping for season 3, and what I thought about the patch notes that they put out. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this season? Did you not? What changes are you hoping to see? Just let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.